So today, what I'm planning to do is to one dispel all the main myths and misconception about ADHD. There's a lot of rubbish floating around there, even from well-established therapists, even people. And I won't name any names, so don't ask me. But even some well-established people who basically, when it comes to neurodivergence, don't know what they're talking about, and that frustrates me a little bit. And talking about what it really is, the bad and the good, because it's not all bad having ADHD. Thank God for that. And also as well where we can help with obviously mainly hypnosis, as soon as we all are hypnotherapists or training to be some. So let's get started now. So okay, India as well, fantastic. So, and as I said as well, let's have questions at the end. So I want to make sure I put everything out there. And if I do it faster than planned, great, we can have a lot of talk, but I want to make sure we go through everything. So what we'll start with. So there's quite a fair few misconceptions about ADHD. And I'm going to minimize myself a little bit. Hello. So I've listed the main misconception, the thing you hear a lot from everywhere, from therapists or from lay people, equally the same. The first one, which annoys me a lot, as you can imagine, ADHD is not real. It's all made up. You're pretending, and all those kind of things. And again, you hear that from a lot of people who can simply say, we're just pretending, we're just doing it for attention. Yes, I wish it was that simple. Those people don't understand what ADHD is about. They don't understand how people struggle with that, despite the fact we can easily test for what isn't ADHD. This one as well, if you've got ADHD, that would annoy you very much as well. People with ADHD just need to try harder to fit in and be like everybody else. What people don't realize is, yes, we are already trying very hard to not freak you out, all you normal people. We're trying to behave like you, be like you, and I'm not going to start to sing like the Jungle Book, don't worry. But we do try an awful lot. And that's something applies as well for autistic people and any other neurodivergent people. That one, again, people with ADHD, they can never focus. And that is quite ironic because we can actually do the absolute opposite, which is hyper focusing, which means we're going to be on task. If it interests us, we're going to be on task for hours and hours, forget to eat, forget to drink, forget to sleep. It's just that we struggle a bit when we turn that on and off. But we'll go into that a bit later. All kids with ADHD or adults are hyperactive. The typical naughty child running around, going like crazy, jumping on the walls. No, it's not. It's not always the case. A big chunk of people with ADHD are hyperactive, but you also have other type of it. You got hyperactive, you got inattentive, and if you're lucky like me, you've got combined. So you've got all the traits in one package, which is fantastic. So just because someone doesn't run around like a lunatic, it doesn't mean they're not hyperactive and not ADHD, sorry. Only boys have ADHD. Again, that is completely ridiculous, but that is because all of the studies initially done on ADHD were done on little white boys, and that was the benchmark, and which meant that girls were ignored, and basically there were a lot of misdiagnosis based on that, and we'll go into it a bit later. But everybody can have ADHD. There's no real a factor in gender whether you can have it or not. So we're quite equal on that front. That one as well, because it says disorder in the name, and ADHD is a shit name, and I'm gonna go a bit later. It's not a learning disability. If you have ADHD or if you know someone with ADHD, you will know we love to learn. We learn about everything all the time. We have tons of hobbies. We are the typical jacks of all trades and master of none, but quite often better than the master of one. So people forget there is the second part of this saying. So it's not a learning disability. We love to learn about everything we can if it's fun, if it's interesting. That said, obviously, with neurodivergence, you can also have learning disability and co-condition, comorbidity, although I hate that term, but that's not due to ADHD itself. And that one was believed for a long, long time, even from by psychotherapists, that kids with ADHD will just outgrow it. Okay, it's just a childhood thing, and then they're gonna go through puberty, and magically their brain will rewire themselves, and they're gonna be normal people like everybody else. It turned out, no, we don't outgrow it. We mask it better. We manage it somehow with more different level of success, but we still keep it. The brain is still different. It doesn't become normal afterward, as if by magic, no matter what you try. And yeah, ADHD is a result of bad parenting. Too much sugar, too many video games. You let them do. No, it's got nothing to do of extremely little to do with that, basically. Obviously, if you got an ADHD kid and you let them run riot, there's going to be more obvious. You need to manage them differently, but it's nothing to do with bad parenting. So if you've got kids with ADHD, it's not due to your parenting. It might simply be due to your genes. That's all. So all the guilt trip, you can forget them. So that's the top few. I think there's a few more things come back, but that's the one that come back more often. Now, the next question, obviously, as it says over there, why is ADHD awareness important? And you all know for the last 3 or 4 years, it's been a massive wave of awareness about adult ADHD, especially on platforms like TikTok and YouTube and all those kind of things. And people say, oh, why don't you just do your thing and leave us alone? Well, it does affect quite a lot of people. Now, the estimate is 5% of the UK population, but it's very likely to be underdiagnosed because a lot of people have ADHD, just don't know it, do not realize it. One reason for that is because it's highly hereditary. It's very likely that your family and all of your friends are also weird like you. You're in your own tribe of ADHD people with all of the quirks, and you don't think that your behavior, what you do, is weird or different from anybody else because you are with other people like you. So people are quite often surprised. I remember when I went for my diagnosis, my mother was saying, well, of course we do that, but everybody does that. No, mum. Normal people don't do what we do. We do it differently. So there's a kind of a lack of self-awareness from the ADHD population. And as I said before, even there already, there was quite a fair few of us. There's more than 5% of us here with ADHD. So in a therapy room, you're going to have a lot. With that, that's not just true for ADHD, but for any kind of neurodivergence. So whether it's if you're autistic, ADHD, dyslexic, dyspraxic, or any kind of thing like that, there's a lot of anxiety, depression, and with ADHD also a lot of addiction. We go into that a bit later as well. And which, if left, I was about to say untreated, unmanaged, or if you try to push through being a square peg in a round hole, try to fit in, it can lead to psychiatric issue later on as a result of trying to live in a neurotypical society. So if you're a therapist and you mainly deal with people with anxiety and addiction, I promise you there's going to be a lot of them who will be neurodivergent and a lot of ADHD. Just checking my notes here. I think it's estimated 25% of people seeking help with anxiety have ADHD. That's the official numbers I found online. My personal experience is more than half my clients with anxiety have ADHD. Again, maybe I track them. There may be a bit of that as well, but I see it a lot, and diagnosed and undiagnosed as well. Now, the other thing as well with ADHD is a shorter life expectancy. Now, people will wonder, why is that? And now, just to give you an idea, for men with ADHD, it's about 6.8 years shorter than men without. For women, the difference is 8.6 years. So it's quite significant. And a lot of different reasons. One being accidental death, because with ADHD, you've got impulsivity, lack of control. So basically, in a nutshell, we do stupid shit. So that's going to lead to issues. Also, a lot of issues with addictions. So that as well will definitely shorten your life with any kind of drugs you're on. That's going to do it as well. Also, because of all the pressure and the stress of trying to fit in, it does take a toll on your mental health and your emotional health. And basically, it's reckoned that adults with ADHD are 5 times more likely to attempt suicide. So it's not a benign thing. And the thing is, if you know you've got ADHD, if you know how to manage it and work with it, all of those things get much better. Basically, the shorter life expectancy of ADHD brains is a similar thing for left-handed people also having a shorter life expectancy, because the world is built for right-handed people. So all the different tools, all the different things are majorly for right-handed people. Left-handed people have more accidents. It's a similar thing. It's we're in the wrong type of world in a way, or the world doesn't take us into account as much as it should. And there's a high level of ADHD in prison. And again, that is because of reckless behavior, addictions, and all those kind of things. It's estimated that roughly about 25 to 45% of adults in prisons have ADHD. And if you look at juveniles, it can go up to 50% of them having ADHD. So if people were to help people with ADHD from an early age and deal with them, manage that properly in a healthy way, that will also have a massive impact on crime as well, and people not being ending up in jail for stupid reasons, basically. And the last one is many therapeutical techniques assume a neurotypical or normal brain, or they give simplistic advice. And that's the one thing that motivated me to do this talk. I went through a seminar with someone. Luckily for that person, I watched the recording and wasn't live, because I would have said something otherwise. But just to give you one example of among many, that person was saying, well, if you just help ADHD people to remove all distraction, then they can focus and do what they want to do. And that was it. Completely ignoring the fact that, one, don't underestimate my capacity of distracting myself, even in an empty room. I can do that very easily. And also, they have no notion of something called executive dysfunction, which is when the brain is not stimulated, when it doesn't have the fuel to keep it going. No matter how clear the road ahead of you is, no matter how close it is to you, it's like being in a car with no fuel. It's not just going to work. You're not going to be able to do it. So ignoring a lot of...
The mic's off.
Ignoring a lot of ADHD traits, and again, being very, very simplistic, simply basing their therapeutic solutions, as they were advertising them, based on stereotypes of ADHD. So let's do that differently. So, ADHD. As I said before, ADHD is a shit name. I hate that word. And because basically what they've done, they've taken a couple of symptoms, bad ones as well, inaccurate one as well, and then a disorder at the end, and there you go, you got a name. So again, for people who may not know yet, because I haven't mentioned it, so ADHD is attention deficit and hyperactive disorder. And I disagree with all of it. And in French, I quite like it because what they do, they call it, it's called TDAH. So trouble, and I'm not going to say it in French anyway, because I forgot on top of my head. But what I like about it is it's spelled Ta-da! And it's brilliant. At least it's a bit more kind of joyous, and but still wrong. Also, in French, we say with or without hyperactivity, which is still more accurate, but it's really, really bad. And also, because it says disorder, people think it's a problem. And yes, there are issues with it, but it's not just a problem. There's good and there's bad in it. So that's why if you've ever been online, there's been a big movement to change the name to dopamine attention variability executive dysfunction, or DAVE for short, which I quite like. It's a bit more, it's more accurate for a start, and it's a bit friendlier. And I had someone as well who said to me, we should call it Fast and Curious. I said, yeah, we should kind of, again, illustrate what ADHD is about. And ADHD is a neurodevelopmental condition. It's not a disease. It's not a disorder. The ADHD brain is simply different from the average person. And it's a bit like saying electric vehicles are a disorder of a car. No, you've got different type of car. You've got electric, you've got diesel, you've got petrol, you've got hybrids, you've got automatic, you've got manual. They're all different, and that's fine. It's just that the norm is one type of car, so neurotypical brain. We have a slightly different model. Now, it's a neurodevelopmental condition. That's a bit long word, isn't it? Which means it's something we are born with. So a lot of the changes and differences happen during the gestation, and we pretty much born with it. There are some additional things later on that can make a slight difference in how much we express it or not. But basically, in a nutshell, ADHD is characterized by three main types of symptoms, which are categorized in hyperactivity, inattention, and impulsivity. And we'll go on to that a little bit later. And they are structural, functional, and neurochemical difference in the ADHD brain. And it's due again to a combination of genetic, and some environmental factor during the gestation period. And so, yeah, maybe it's membered in, but no, we're born with it. To understand ADHD, it's important to know that it is an interest-based brain. And once you get that, then everything makes more sense. For example, if you're doing something which is novel, fun, exciting, or critical, then the brain is engaged. It's like, yeah, okay, I can deal with that. I'll do whatever you want me to do. If you've got a task that is only very important, the ADHD brain doesn't care. Important, meh, is boring. I will refuse to do it. And a way to describe it is you may have a task, a simple task in front of you. You know how to do it. You know it will only take you 15 minutes to do it. And yet your brain will refuse to engage, and which is also very frustrating because you also beat yourself up because you're not doing the simple thing in front of you. And the feeling that we get when we do that is a bit like someone tell you, well, why don't you put your hand on a hot stove? And yeah, I'll be there. Yeah, there's a hot stove there. There's my hand. Yes, I know how to put my hand on the hot stove, but my brain refused to do that. It will say, don't do that. It's the same kind of feeling. I could do it, but it won't. And the main issue with interest-based brain is why it's like that. It's because of dopamine. People always say that the ADHD brain doesn't have enough dopamine in the brain. The truth is we have as much dopamine as any other brain. What we have more of is dopamine transporters. And that's the thing which kind of reabsorb the dopamine, and basically it mops all of it, yes, there we go, from the brain, which means it doesn't go where it needs to go. So that's why people with ADHD, although they are all over the place, excited, hyperactive for some of them and everything, what do we give them? Stimulants. And people will say, why would you do that? What do you want to? Like in the US, it's Adderall, which is literally amphetamine. In the UK, it's Ritalin and other non-amphetamine drugs, but they're all stimulant. For me, I'm not doing advertising, but hey, Monster, caffeine, basically. I'll just run on that. Actually, if I got too much of it, I fall asleep. I've got to be careful with that. And that's because stimulants, they do interact with the dopamine transporter, which means they stop them from reabsorbing the dopamine, which means the dopamine stays more in your brain thanks to stimulant. So someone with ADHD, if you give them amphetamine, if you give them stimulants, they will calm down. And people don't understand that. I can have a can of Monster at 8 o'clock at night, and by 10 I'll be asleep. No problem. So that's the thing. Now, I know some people will say, well, for me, it doesn't work like that. Yes, everybody's slightly different, but on average, people will tend to say stimulants help them calm down. Like you go to a rave, oh, give me some cocaine. Oh, I'm going to do my tax return now. What's going on? Instead of being bouncing off the wall. So it's a bit weird. Yeah, I'm just seeing in the chat about the great thing about ADHD. I'll get to that. Don't you worry about that. It's not about all doom and gloom. Don't worry, Barbara. Yes, and again, very good point from Warren there. If you don't have the medication as a stimulant, or if you don't have a healthy way to increase your dopamine level, you will be chasing high level of dopamine. It's called dopamining. And that's why we do everything we can to get excited, not always in a healthy or legal way. So, yeah, as you said there, sex, crime, drug, heart, skateboarding, raving, anything that gets it going, basically. And that's why people with ADHD, we are more prone to addictions because of that, because we seek that stimulation. And so basically, we do impulsive thing, we might do reckless thing, so we can get that high. And if we don't, what will happen is we're out of fuel and we just can't do anything. And it's not uncommon for an ADHD person to be sat on the sofa doing nothing, which is weird for an hyperactive person, you just think. But it's because you can't get yourself in gear because the brain doesn't have that dopamine going on. So it's a bit of all over the place, or not at all. So that's the issue. And as I said before, it's highly hereditary. It's 80% in the genes. So if you have kids with ADHD, I've got news for you. It's very likely either you or your partner have it as well. It runs in the family. And again, it's mainly due to genes. Some factors around it, maybe. I think they used to say that if women smoke during pregnancy, then they create ADHD. There are a lot of studies like that, and you've got to be careful with them because they tend to put the blame on women and there's a bit of bias from the studies at the time. So take them with a pinch of salt, basically, any kind of studies like that put blames on parents. It's mainly hereditary. When we get diagnosed, one of the conditions is that all of the symptoms, which we'll go on about later, have to be present on a regular basis before the age of 12. Although for a lot of people, it's noticeable if you know what you're looking for by the age of 3, basically. Now, the other thing as well, which creates a lot of confusion, especially in the hypnosis world, it's that trauma can create ADHD-like symptoms. Yes. Just like a car crash can give you disability as well. But it's not the same if you have your legs cut off because of a car crash as being born with an issue with your legs. So it's a very big difference there. And I know some people focus on find the trauma, cure the ADHD. it doesn't work like that, I'm afraid. And all the studies point to the contrary. And again, as I said before, it's not a disease. It's not something that needs to be cured. It's something that needs to be understood and managed. That said, because we are neurodivergent people in a neurotypical world, that difference that we have can create trauma. And we'll go into that a bit later as well. But we have to be careful with causation and correlation here. And as I mentioned before as well, very quickly, there's a lot of coincidence with autism. In the autistic population, they reckon about 50 to 70% of autistic people are likely to have ADHD. They come together very often. Although in the ADHD population, it's way less. I think it's about, depending on the studies, about 20 to 50% of ADHD people will also have ADHD. So the overlap is slightly different. But it's very, very common to have both. There are a lot of different theory about it, whether it's because it's, some people say the same thing, don't think it's quite there. Maybe there's different, there's similar cause to it in the genetic makeup that we have. And also, there's another thing as well, which is simply ADHD people and autistic people, we get along very nicely. And when an autistic person and an ADHD person loves them very much, they make little ADHD babies, basically. It could be just as simple as that. And those people are awesome. I know I've married one. So again, you got my wife, she's ADHD, so autistic ADHD, and she mentioned, she describes it as having a ferret and a sloth in her brain just fighting for control, and which makes for a very interesting household. I'll tell you that for nothing. But it's brilliant. So, the cliche symptom of ADHD. I'm sure you will all, the first thing that comes to mind for you will be hyperactive kids bouncing all over the place, being manic, being the naughty child, basically, and squirrel. Oh, something distracts me, something shiny, and you've lost me. Yeah. The main symptoms of ADHD, there's quite a fair few. I'm going to move myself a little bit if I can here. Yeah. Hello. So basically, it's more complicated than most people think initially. I'm not going to go through all of them because there's quite a fair few, and you can find that on any kind of ADHD website. But yes, obviously you've got in attention. So is it distracted? Yes, that is one of them, but not for everybody. Forgetfulness, organization skills, avoidance of sustained mental effort, what was something people call laziness. It's not quite something like that. Impulsivity, yes. Interrupting people, always wanted to blurt out the answers before people finish the question. Yes, don't do it as much as I used to, but I know I'm doing that. Impulse buying, yes. Now I don't have a credit card anymore because that's too dangerous for me. And the other one as well is the hyperactivity, so the fidgeting, the squirming. What do you think? I've got that in my hand all the time. You don't see it on camera, but I've got things to basically steam all the time and fidget with. Talking excessively, that's me. But there are also a lot of other things which people are not fully aware of. There's a lot of issues with emotional regulation. So mood swings, being easily frustrated, low self-esteem. And there's something which is called rejection sensitive dysphoria, which is a big one. That's one. Rejection sensitive dysphoria is basically when we are criticized or rejected, whether it's real or perceived, it hurts. It's deep, it's personal, it's like stabbing us in the chest. Okay. Now, I know nobody has been told off, nobody has been criticized, but it's really, it's physical when it happens to us. And that's because for a lot of people from childhood, we receive tons and tons and tons of micro criticism. Why are you so lazy? Why not careful? Pay more attention. Why are you always stop fidgeting? We get told off all the time because we're not normal. We're a naughty child. And if you get sandblasted all of your life with criticism, guess what happens? You become very, very sensitive to it, to a point that you will do everything you can to avoid it. And even though it's not part of the diagnosis for ADHD, 100% of people with ADHD will have RSD. I'm pretty convinced that's going to be the case. But we'll go into it a bit more later and what kind of issues it creates later on. Other associated symptoms, yeah, hyperfocus, absolutely. Sleep issues because the brain is always going on. So if you got people with insomnia because they can't switch off, that's one sign as well. Disorganization in speech. I'm doing better now, as you can see, but still issues. Time blindness, and yeah, I've got to make sure you have half an hour in. That's fine. I'm not doing too bad today. Which is why people with ADHD will either be chronically late, no matter what, because they don't have the notion of time, or people like me will be consistently dead on time, but it's going to take me 3 or 4 reminders on my phone to make sure I don't forget about it. Otherwise, object impermanence as well, that's another big issue. It's basically, if you're not right there in front of me, you don't exist. It's a slight of exaggeration, but it's not that far off. Out of sight, out of mind, basically. And some people struggle with that. I've got some friends I haven't seen for 10 years. I don't think about them at all because I don't see them. But then, yet again, when I see them again, it's like I see them yesterday. So it's a bit of a weird thing going on. But the other thing with object impermanence is we very easily lose things. So if you've got someone who's always misplacing his keys, his glasses, his phones, when they go somewhere, they always leave something in the taxi or in the place. That's one of the traits as well. But again, that's a lot of different symptoms, and a bit like with autism, which is a spectrum of symptom, not a spectrum of how autistic you are. Here you've got a spectrum of symptoms as well for ADHD. It's a similar thing. So not everybody will have all of them, but you need to have enough of them at a high level. Because if you look at them independently, most people will say, yeah, but I do that a bit, I do this a bit, I do that a bit. Yes, all those things are normal behaviors individually, but in ADHD, they're taken to an extreme. So if you say, oh, but I do a bit of that, so maybe I'm a bit on the ADHD spectrum, no, that's like saying, oh, I've got a bit of a dodgy stomach. Maybe I'm on the ABS spectrum. It doesn't work like that. Okay. So to be diagnosed with ADHD, you need to have a certain amount of them. There's a threshold for it. And they need to also have an impact on your life, and they need to be sustained, basically. So it's a matter of levels on top of a number of symptoms to really being assigned the ADHD label. All right. I'm not going to go through all of that. Don't worry too much. I'm not going to read through all of it. But it's just to show you that there are structural difference in the brain. Basically, all the different parts of our brain work differently for a start, mainly because, again, about all the dopamine, which doesn't go to the right places. So obviously, if you don't have the right fuel, if you start with dopamine, it's not going to work properly. And even how those places communicate, so the different networks are also working differently. So it's really structural. So yes, the brain is plastic. Yes, we can change a lot of our behaviors, a lot of things. A lot of things we can do to make things easier, but you're not going to rewire an ADHD brain into a neurotypical one. Good luck. I was saying you have to change everything. It's like saying changing a diesel car to an electrical vehicle, pretty much. And actually, here I've just noticed, typical ADHD, the prefrontal cortex should have been in the previous table because that's not a network, it's a font. So yeah, take pictures if you want. I'm just going to minimize myself a little bit so you can see everything. Yes? Cool. Okay. All right. So that's just to illustrate. It's not just being suggested and it's not just being slightly distracted. So the challenges met by the clients. So that's the one I said before. So the emotional sensitivity and rejection sensitivity. So RSD for short is a big thing. So we struggle to regulate our emotions. I think we're really passionate about many things, good and bad. So we can be super enthusiastic, happy and loving and all happy and all the rest. I'm going to move over there now. But also, if we get angry, sad, or all those kind of things, it can really overwhelm us. And you're going to find that a lot of ADHD people will very easily get frustrated and started like kicking the printer because it's not working, or doing some DIY and then bashing the table with a hammer because they get angry because nothing goes their way. Over silly things. That's because of that. And this intense emotional reaction can also create issues in relationship because sometimes your partner doesn't know how to deal with that, or you're too much, basically. Again, in whether it's too much love, too much spontaneity, too much fun, or too much anger and frustration, that can create a lot of issues there. So that you need help to kind of get that under control, basically. Also, not being able to control your emotions will also trigger things like shame and guilt, because why can't I do like everybody else? Why everybody stays calm and work? Well, I'm always losing my temper all the time. So you create kind of a cycle of bad self-esteem, basically, on that. And the one I mentioned, which was the RSD, so rejection sensitivity dysphoria, as I said, all ADHD people will have it, guaranteed. And that's one of, as far as I'm concerned, that's one of the main red flags for that. And what it does for a lot of people, it creates the imposter syndrome. Like, why am I here talking about ADHD to people? What do I know about it? Oh my God, what's going on? And even though I've looked into it, studied into it, I've still got like a voice at the back of my mind telling me about that. Although I know it's lying to me, so I can ignore it. Low self-esteem and a lot of self-doubt, basically. And the issue with that is, well, if that's not enough, we develop a lot of almost like PTSD-like response to avoid RSD, to avoid criticism. So it's very common for people with ADHD to become people pleasers to an extreme, because if I do everything for everybody, nobody can tell me off. Nobody can criticize me because everybody loves me. Please, please love me. Please, I'm nice, I promise. And some people will become perfectionists because if I do everything perfectly, nobody can criticize me. Problem is, as we all know, nothing's perfect. So you really burn yourself out on that. And you can become a social chameleon. Now, that sounds cool because you can go to any group of people and you're going to fit in somehow. You're going to find a way to talk to them. You can talk to anyone. You can be friends with anyone, no matter where they're from, whether they're hippies or bikers or bankers or whatever. You'll fit with them. You'll talk to them, no problem. The issue with that is because it's always having a mask on, you lose who you really are. And you have to keep up the facade of what you think they expect to see. So you play a role all the time. It's exhausting. Also, it's very useful in therapy to build rapport instantly. ADHD people can do that easy. Anyone coming in my office, I get on with them no matter what. Even if I don't like them on paper, even if they're totally against my politics or opinions or whatever, I can deal with that. And I can, I know it sounds hypocritical, but it's not that. I'm very diplomatic. That's the way I see it. But there's a dark side to it. Some people simply, as well, end up being hermits. They avoid everybody, so social avoidance, because if I don't meet anyone, nobody will criticize me. It works, but you don't have a life. And some people as well, It's not everybody, but I know a couple of them become pathological liars because they're so used to find an excuse when they're being criticized about something, they end up doing it on autopilot no matter what. And it's you look at them, why is he lying about that? It's ridiculous. It's a defense mechanism which they can't control anymore. So, and when you point it to them, they say, "No, I don't do that," and they lie about it as well. So it's quite a tricky one when they end up in that dark hole. Executive function challenges. So basically, struggling to get going, basically, and that's the main thing. So executive functions generally they are planning, organization, and time management. And with ADHD, we suck at that big time. So we need help. We need it. So for me, mobile phone, is a great helper. Everything is in there. Any appointments I've got 3 reminders every time so I don't forget things. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. Even in the morning, even though I get up every day at the same time, I've got 3 alarms. One for me to wake up, one for me to really, really wake up, and one by the time I need to get out of the house right now, or else I'm going to be late. And even with that, I'm still late sometimes. So there you go. So you struggle with that, and basically it makes it hard for people to do everyday tasks. Stick to routine is a big issue for ADHD people. Routine and creating habits is a problem. Even stuff like getting ready in the morning, brushing your teeth every day, taking a shower every day, stuff people take for granted. We've got to think about it more, and that is exhausting. And yeah, meeting deadlines. Yeah, that's a fun one too. We really struggle with that. And you're going to see a lot of people ending up with a last minute panic and doing an overnight thing the day before, if not in the morning, to finish things on time. So I did that actually a lot. And that cost me a burnout, which was not great. Yeah, procrastination is a big issue. And people see it as laziness or lack of motivation and it's as a character flaw. It's not. It's basically it's the brain won't engage. The dopamine is not there. It just cannot get going. It's really struggling with that, and you need to end up at a point where the thing becomes absolutely critical, which then creates a panic, which then stimulates the brain, and then you can get on with it. But it's not healthy, and also you rush things, and you make more mistakes, and vicious cycle. So that's why people with on medication find that it really helps them to plan things better instead of doing things last minute. Relationship struggles. If the person who you live with don't understand how you work, they're gonna see you, as I said before, as lazy, you're too much, not enough. Because, for example, if you're hyper focusing on your task, you're gonna be in your shed for hours and hours forgetting to go home. And so what? Or playing video games or doing this because you focus on that task, everything else has ceased to exist as far as you're concerned. There's a lot of issues with all the different things you can imagine. People who are inattentive in ADHD will appear as maybe careless or disinterested. They're not. It's just they're struggling to focus on that. And again, the RSD creates issues because the person with ADHD will be on the defensive a lot. And people say, what? Arguing, why is so defensive? What do you have to hide? Nothing. It's just my natural defense mechanism kicking up, but that can be misinterpreted by the other person as well if they don't understand how it works. And lack of communication, as we know, that's what creates conflict quite a lot. And as you can imagine, struggling to be on time and do things in timely fashion, that's going to create a problem in the workplace, in academic studies. It doesn't mean you can't work, doesn't mean you can't have a degree. I've worked in the same company for 20 years, which is quite a weird thing for an ADHD person, but it's because my job is varied. And I managed to still get a degree in computer science. I got a 5-year degree as an engineer. Yes, it did cost me a burnout in the process, but I've got it eventually. So you can have a degree, you can be a productive person and a successful person. The thing is, it's just not that easy for us. But you can do things, but it's gonna be hard and it's gonna be difficult. And you're gonna think, why am I struggling so much with all my colleagues and friends that are doing it so easily? And again, imposter syndrome kicks in, and you think, when I'm gonna be found out that I don't know what I'm talking about, and which leads to low self-esteem and burnout, basically. So because you're constantly trying too much to compensate and overcompensate for everything, whether it's for trying to please people or trying to get yourself going and forcing yourself, you end up with burnouts. Actually, my last burnout was 12 years ago, and that's what led me then to start therapy and then become a hypnotherapist. So silver lining in all that. But it's very common for to have burnouts on that. And masking, which I think should have been above this one, is basically all the things we do, as I said at the beginning of the maze. You need to try harder, and we are, because we are doing everything we can to fit in, to compensate for the issues, or to try to hide them. And the irony there is when we start to struggle with that, the mask starts to slip. People say, but you used to cope very well before. You're perfectly normal. You're just putting it on now. No, it's not. It's just I'm stopped putting on that mask for you. I'm now myself because I'm exhausted and I can't filter it anymore. And then people call you a liar and attention seeker, which is slightly frustrating. But hey, so masking is a big problem because it's emotionally and cognitively very, very taxing, very expensive. So things people take for granted, we struggle a lot. As I said, getting ready in the morning, being on time. If you got a task that needs to be done that is very, very boring, important, but boring, we're really going to struggle with that. It's physically painful, basically. And it takes a big toll on us. Now, it's not all doom and gloom with ADHD. You'll be pleased to know, I don't know who mentioned earlier, there's great things about ADHD. Oh, yes, absolutely. So, yeah, we are very perceptive. So emotional intelligence through the roof. Again, that's why we make great therapists. That's why, as well, a lot of artists have ADHD, or a lot of ADHD people are artists. We can multitask unless we are per focus, in which case we struggle. So it's one or the other, but we're pretty good with that. When we love what we do, you can't stop us. So we've got a passion-driven work ethic, and we'll do everything for what we love. And again, it's a very powerful drive we've got there. We have a very strong intuition, which is a combination of being very good at doing pattern recognition, quicker than most people. And because of the RSD, we've learned to read people to avoid criticism. So we become mind readers in a way. A bit like what people do when they got PTSD as well. If you ever work with people, like people who suffered domestic violence, for example, those women, they will be able to read minds of other people, or at least their emotion instantly, intuitively, because they use that for survival. We do have a bit of that, not to the same level, but we have that as well. And because we crave fun stuff, exciting stuff, yes, spontaneous, fun personality, yes, let's do silly things, which again can be good, can be fun. If you live with someone with ADHD, one thing I promise you, you're not gonna get bored. That's for sure, because they're gonna be on the go all the time. Or they're gonna have a lot of different interests. They're gonna have new hobbies every 2 weeks. You're gonna learn a lot. Absolutely, it's fantastic. And again, creativity, innovation, problem solving. As I said, I also work in IT, and how many times people tell me, "Oh, we got this problem. Let's have a meeting about it." Within 2 minutes, I've got the solution, and I spend the next 45 minutes going through every scenario with them so they can confirm my solution works. Because I'll look at the whole lot, blah, 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 blah. Whereas they do it in a sequential manner, in a boring way, slow way. Get on with it. So we're very good at that. Creativity, innovation, absolutely. Hyper focus. And again, people say it's a superpower. Yes, if only you could control it. You don't choose when you're hyper focus. Although you know some stuff you hyper focus on, like if you put me on a video game, I'll be there for hours. My dangerous game is Civilization 6. Because if I start playing that game, it's a turn-based game. There's always one more thing. This game is like crack to an ADHD person. And I could start there 7 in the evening and be there 3 in the morning still playing, forgetting to go to bed. So, but again, if something very important to be done, if we can have a focus on it, it's going to be done no matter what. High energy and enthusiasm, absolutely. When we get going, we can't stop us because we're stimulated, we're happy, we got everything in line. We're going to do things. Resilience and adaptability, yes, because we have to learn to adapt. We have to learn to fit in. It might not be a trait of ADHD per se, but it's a side effect of ADHD. So might as well be a good thing. So we learn to fit in. We learn to adapt super quick. Again, when I met my wife, she had all those different quirks and rules, and this way, and I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever, and I just go with it. And she was like, are you sure I'm not imposing myself? I don't care. I think you got a reason for it. I'll go with it. And then later on, we realized she's autistic. Go figure. And great in a crisis, because again, whilst we are easily frustrated and angry for small things, if something is really, really bad, then the brain gets stimulated, and yes, we're here, and we're going to be super cool no matter what. And I realized time blindness is that time already. So a lot of people with ADHD, so I'm not going to go through all of them, but artists, scientists, billionaires as well, famous people from the past, which we think may have had ADHD. I'm sure you know a few of those names, not all of them, and they're quite influential. Okay, so let's get there. You don't cure ADHD. It's not a disease. The one thing you can do, like what I'm doing today, is building awareness and reframing ADHD from disorder to that's just how your brain works. Okay, if you have to judge all the animals by the ability to climb a tree, only monkeys would be good, and all the animals would be rubbish. So that's why you got to be careful with. And if you help people understand how their brain works, it's not their fault, and they can work with it instead of against it, instead of being a square peg in a round hole, you can go a long way. Remove frustration, remove self-imposter syndrome, remove low self-esteem. There's a lot of things you really, really can do with that. And for that, generally, I will do a lot of hypnosis technique, which are like emotional detox. All of you on the Jack Quinn Academy, the arrow for that works great. If you've done the dream architectural therapy, it's got a built-in clear out. It's fantastic for that as well. So that helps with the low self-esteem, bipolar syndrome, and the RSD. That can go quite a long way. And simply let them understand that if they're not with, it's not their fault, it goes a long way. Regulating emotional response. Well, again, we can help people using paths and things like that, because if you understand how your brain works, then you can ask the part of you that is going overboard to calm down. And you can get rid of accumulated emotional trauma. Again, a big detox for that. I also train with Carl Smith. If you ever look at his emotional detox online, it's a great tool for that as well. It does help a lot to clear all the rubbish. And simply helping people to visualize staying calm. As simple as that. ADHD people will think, oh, I can't do hypnotherapy, I can't do hypnosis, my brain is all over the place. Well, we can focus it with hypnosis. So that's a great tool as well. Enhancing focus and motivation. Again, executive dysfunction is a tricky one, but we can do anchoring a lot. So basically finding something that makes you excited, makes you feel happy, makes you get up and go. You can anchor that so they can get on top as much as they can. It's not a magic bullet, but it can help a lot. And boosting self-esteem and confidence, so any kind of ego building therapy will work, help them visualize themselves in the future, being fantastic, being awesome, because ADHD people, I'm not saying that because I am, they're awesome, they're brilliant, because they've been told all their lives they're rubbish and they're shit. So it's good to kind of change that voice. Maybe there's a good self-criticism thing, have them change that inner voice as well. All the kind of NLP techniques for that will help greatly. Addiction regulation, if they understand that all they're doing is dopamine seeking, then you can help them change that to a healthier dopamine tool. And again, part negotiation with that, fantastic, because if they understand how it works, it's okay. Yeah, I'm very sorry. I just realized, yeah, I went over time, time blindness. So if you have to go, I'm very sorry, but I'll give you the recording, and I'm glad to finish that as soon as I can, without trying to miss too much. But we're nearly done. Managing stress and anxiety, that's a big one. And again, that's where hypnosis excels. For ADHD people to learn that they can relax, they can calm down, they can shut their brain off. Doing the Betty Erickson 3-2-1 technique is fantastic for someone with ADHD because it just ground them, focus, gone. So giving them self-hypnosis tools, because I can't meditate, doing that is great for many people. It's fantastic. I just can't do it. Hypnosis, visualization, now you're talking, because it's using my creativity, it's using my brain. I've missed a few things there. Okay. So obviously, usual thing, recognize when clients need additional support if they've got other issues, manage expectation, and hypnotherapy is just one thing to help them. That is obvious, so I'm going to skip this one. And I've missed a bit here. Oh. Okay. Because what I've missed is a couple of advice for hypnotherapy. So I'm going to do it live without the notes, I'm afraid. I'm going to make myself a bit bigger. Ooh, hello. So the first thing is, like with anything, do not get stuck behind the label. People say, oh, ADHD, oh my God, or people autistic, oh my God. No, deal with the person in front of you. Everybody's different. Every autistic people is different from the other. Every ADHD people are different as well. Now, obviously, the diagnosis gives you a context, and it gives you some ideas as to why they behave some ways and others. But it's not everything about them. It's part of their brains, it's part of their makeup, but don't get stuck at that. Aside, if you've ever had clients before for anxiety, I promise you've already had people with ADHD before, you just didn't know it. So that's the main thing. ADHD people can pay attention. That's a big thing that people struggle with. It's, oh my God, it's a good ADHD. I must do it quick, super quick. No, you don't have to. What you have to do is to simply not bore them. So if you do a 30-minute progressive muscle relaxation, they're going to end up asleep. Maybe they're not going to be hypnotized. Okay. It's an interest-based brain. Hypnosis is interesting. It's novel. It's weird. It's different. So get them going. Get on with it. Basically, I'm not saying do instant induction every single time, but get things moving on. Otherwise, you're going to lose them quite rapidly. But once you get them engaged, when you get them there, then they're going to be in it. They're going to use imagination. They can be there for hours. So you can really trigger the hyperfocus there. So you've got to keep them engaged and communicate with them. It's a given. I know how we train with the Jack Queen. We're always communicating, whether it's PMR, talking. But you need to keep it going. You need to make sure there's communication there so you don't lose them and you keep guiding them in the right directions. Fidgeting and having their eyes open is fine. Some people are obsessed about they must have their eyes closed, they must be relaxed, they must be half asleep. No. People will fidget. I had once a client, 12-year-old girl, she was upside down on the chair, but she was imagining things. That's all I'm asking. I don't care if she's just collapsed all over the place and fidgeting and moving about all the time. It doesn't matter. That's not hypnosis. Relaxation is not hypnosis. It's a side effect of it. And the thing is, quite often, even people with ADHD, even me, in hypnosis, I'm gone. I'm super relaxed. Not everybody will do it. So don't obsess. If they relax, great. If they're not, too bad. Just get going. If they want to keep their eyes open, that's fine. For some people, especially if they've got autism as well, it's because they feel safer with their eyes open. It's just that. They don't like it having their eyes closed. They want to have their eyes open. But as you know, you can still do hypnosis with your eyes open. Just keep going as per normal. Don't worry about it. It's not a state of eyelid, so that's completely fine. Now, a big one, which I find for people with ADHD, is beforehand, reassure them that however they're doing it right. Because the thing that's going on in the ADHD brain is, am I doing it okay? I'm imagining it right. What am I doing? Because they self-doubt all the time. So I tell them at the beginning, if you're wondering if you're doing it right, yes, you are. You can only do it right. Whatever your brain takes you, whatever you're doing is completely right. You can only do it right. And that will then reassure them, and then they can get on with getting the work done instead of gauging, oh, is it right? Is it right? Am I hypnotized or not? You're not going to do it right. Just humor me. You're going to be fine no matter what. Whether you're fully aware or if you're on that, I don't care. You're doing it right. That's pretty much it. And the thing is, all of this advice also apply to everybody. No matter who you're with, keep them engaged. Get going. I personally don't like wasting my time half an hour for an induction. Why? 3 minutes max. Even if I do a PMR, it's a quick one. Just relax, go in your head. Thank you, let's get going. Well, take a bit more time because some people benefit from relaxing, absolutely. But keep it interesting, keep it fun, keep it interactive. That whether they're neurotypical, ADHD, or autistic, they're all gonna enjoy that. They are all gonna have a good experience. So it applies to everybody. I hope it makes sense. So, because again, here with the Jacqueline Academy, if you do the power lift, it takes what? 90 seconds to do it, if that. Or if you do the swan, put your hand there, look at your hand, focus on it, and then start moving. 30 seconds. You don't have to take forever. I still do PMR, but I say short ones, like 3 minutes max, to have them be comfy, but that's all. So hopefully that makes sense. So again, typical ADHD, I completely skipped that on my slides. So conclusion, it's not a disease, it's just a different brain. It's a shit name. And that's the thing that really bugs me. We need to find a new name. You'll be okay helping them. I'm sure of it. You've got the tools, you've got the techniques. It's just understand the context in which you apply them so you don't chase the wrong symptoms, basically. And if you need a lot of information, I could give you tons of things. Just go to that site there, adhduk.co.uk. They have a comprehensive library of resources, of questionnaires and information about it. There might be another one in the US or in India or wherever, but that's the one I find in the UK, which I think is very, very good in terms of information. And any question you may have on that, you will find. Any questions? And I do apologize if I ran a bit over, but at least I think it's 1 minute, 1 hour and 5 minutes. I'll have to remember that. I need to make that shorter next time.
That was brilliant.
So,
thank you so much. I have a question, Christophe.
Please do.
First of all, thank you. It was really fascinating, really, really interesting, and I've learned a lot. So I really appreciate that. So I have a friend who has just got a diagnosis, and he is struggling with lots and lots of things. So I have two questions around this because and I kind of had a bit of a realization, through this presentation today. So normally, when I talk about what I do with friends or people that I know, I kind of wait for them to opt in. So, people will say often, oh yeah, that sounds interesting. And I always offer, to help them. But I kind of wait for them to actually opt in. And we've had this with this kind of ongoing thing with this guy who tells me that he wants to be helped, and I leave the door open for him to actually book a session or do, but he doesn't. Now I'm just wondering whether that's my stuff around, maybe he's just not doing it because he's literally not able to manage his time and, complete that. So am I, am I being unfair there, I guess, and sort of putting stuff on him? Do you
Well,
understand what I mean?
yeah, I see what you mean. So basically, yeah, well, you can't force people into therapy, no matter how much you want to try, and you've got to be careful not to fall into the savior trap, basically.
Yes,
Which is very
exactly.
difficult because we want to help everybody because we can help you a lot. We want to help you. We want you to be
Which
great.
is why I always get people to actually opt in. I kind of leave the door open,
Yeah.
but then they have to actually do the work. But
I will say, if you push too much, you're gonna annoy them because there's something I didn't mention, which quite often happens with ADHD and autism, which is PDA or pathological demand avoidance. It's more of an autistic trait, but again, because it's quite an overlap with autism as well, it can happen. And again, I hate being told what to do. Okay, and when people force things a bit too much, it feels like it. Um, so keep reminding. And again, patience is a key here. I said, if I say, oh, by the way, just to remind you, I'm here if you need me. But if he talks about the problem, say, oh, by the way, I'm still available if you want to. But and leave it to that. Don't force it.
yeah,
Don't say,
yeah,
well, come
absolutely.
to see me. Come.
Yeah, no, no, no.
No, no.
Well, good, because that's exactly what I've
Invite
been doing.
them.
Yeah,
Don't push
yeah.
to.
Don't
And
push them or sort
like
of,
like
yeah,
like anything, they need to be at threshold. They need to want to get some help.
exactly,
So
exactly, exactly.
again, then they're human being as well. They're not aliens.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that
Well,
I think that's anyway, that's
yeah,
another story. Is that tension between, they've got to be at threshold, they want to help. He tells me he's desperate, in messages, and but then doesn't kind of anyway. But the other thing is sleep. So you mentioned that sleep can be an issue
yeah,
for people with ADHD. So um and I think there's a couple of people that I'm thinking about particularly who suffer from ADHD, and sleep is compounding the problem because
yeah,
they're even more exhausted. So doing sort of targeted sessions on improving sleep, is that useful or
yeah. Um, the couple of things. One, when they realize that they can shut the brain up a little bit, even if it's just by focusing on one thing, which is like imagining yourself in your happy place and start daydreaming, and which is relaxing because quite often is there are too many things going on, too many tabs open going on, and especially if it's 3 in the morning, they're going to start to think about all the what if going on, which basically, as we know, is negative self-hypnosis. They take, oh, what if I lose my job? And they create a whole scenario.
mm,
Now, when they understand that you can't imagine two things at the same time, well, some of them can, but it's difficult, you can realize, oh, I'm doing that. How about I just think of something else nicer instead? It's almost like CBT, like notice your symptom and change what you're doing.
yeah,
So it takes a little bit of practice to do that. But because I do get anxious every now and then, and want to say, why am I doing that? Okay, I know better. I go in my head and do something that's there, and it could be anything at all. And before I know it, I'm back to sleep. It is the rumination which is the issue again, and something with same as with people, normal people with some anxiety issues, they will have the same thing going on. Whether they can't go to sleep because the brain can't shut up, or they wake up at 3 in the morning with wide awake and all things going on. By helping them practice hypnosis, I find that it does help a lot on that. And again, the Betty Erickson 321 I find is great for that because it keeps them busy. So if you never heard, do you all know the Betty Erickson 321 technique?
the what, sorry, no,
Betty Erickson,
Betty Erickson 321
yeah,
tick.
yeah, she was the wife of Milton Erickson.
Oh, right, okay,
You've heard of him, and
yeah, of course.
basically it's a grounding technique, And in a nutshell, it's as you close your eyes and you all the way through focus on your breathing and things like that, of course, you focus on three things you can see. Even with your eyes closed, that's fine. You can imagine seeing things. Taking your time, noticing every single thing, judging the quality, blah, blah, blah. I'm doing super fast here on purpose. Then three things you can hear. Then three things you can feel. Again, taking your time doing it. It's a grounding thing. Then two things you can see, two things you can hear, two things you can feel, and then you might have guessed one thing you can see, one thing you can hear, one thing you can feel. By then, generally, you've done that. I've done a course of anxiety recorded, and I've got an anxiety in a nutshell course with some videos where I explain it and I do a demonstration. And I've made a mistake in one of that in that video. And even when I mentioned there's a mistake, and please find it, nobody finds it because by the time they reach it, they're gone already. So it's a powerful one. And with a bit of practice, it's super powerful. It's grounding. It's great for panic attacks. If people are prone to panic attacks or feeling super stressed, it's a grounding technique. It's a relaxing technique. Focus on you. And it's like counting sheep, basically, but quicker and faster and more relaxation. And all the way through, you say, and breathe. Long out breaths, of course, to encourage relaxation if they can. If they don't worry. But yeah, 3, 2, 1. I've got a video on YouTube. If you look Bert Erickson 3, 2, 1 on YouTube, you'll find me, basically. I'm on the top of this list for some reason. And I'll simply a quick PMR, like relax your face, your arms, your torso, your legs, and go somewhere nice. 2 minutes flat. Just imagine, relax. You don't have to take half an hour for that. And you still got the benefit of relaxing, you still got the benefit of letting go. And again, insisting on the fact whether you feel relaxed or not, doesn't matter. Just pretend you do and see what happens. By the time you've gone from the top of your head to your feet, you're going to be gone. And you don't have to go through every muscle. Relax your face, go through neck and shoulders, go down the arms. Again, I tend to expand a little bit more on that, to then deeper and relax, legs heavy, arms heavy, melting into the chair, blah, blah, blah. You can flesh it out a little bit, of course. But it's, yeah, relax, go somewhere in your head. Basically, start daydreaming.
Okay.
Or my favorite induction, just imagine being somewhere nice.
That's it.
Yeah, exactly. So it's that simple. But people like a ritual. So yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Lynn, please.
Hi, thank you so much. That was really super. My daughter's partner has got ADHD, and so much of what you said, just absolutely him.
And is a messy one, isn't he?
Sorry?
Is a messy one, isn't he?
No.
Disorganized, messy. You should see the start of his bedroom. It's a nightmare, isn't it?
Oh, that's my daughter as well, yeah, because they both live with us at the moment. They're moving out soon.
He might be as well. It's uncommon.
Yeah, I think I've got it a little bit as well. I totally agree with the board. I mean, I get bored. I'm in JHA. I'm in some other groups as well and do practice. And I get bored if people are really slow and everything.
More people, yes. I get that.
And you mentioned about the Betty Erickson thing. I've seen that, and I was just so bored with it because it was done very slowly.
Yes. Do it at your pace. For me, when I notice, if I do it, okay, there's a lamp there. Okay, I know what it looks like. Okay, there's a monitor over here. There's a keyboard there. And relax. And then what I can hear. Some people will take 5 minutes on what they can see. That's fair enough. I get bored if I do that slowly. The trick is, as I said before, relaxation helps for hypnosis. It's not a requirement.
Yeah.
So if you guide them inward, that's what the meditation is all about. It's not about being very slow and having the weird voice. Like Paul McKenna, great hypnotist, but he's got a weird little deep voice when he starts hypnosis. You don't need that.
No.
Just get going. Just imagine, go inside, just go there, go relax. But if you do the arrow technique, are you all familiar with the arrow technique? Or if you're not, it's basically close your eyes, imagine, relax, and then imagine you're floating out of your body. That's the induction. Imagine something, go out of your head. And that's all you need, really. Some people need more coercing and nudging into hypnosis because they think they have to go deep. You don't. You simply need to start imagining things in your own head. That's all. If you do the lemon test, that's hypnosis. The magic fingers is hypnosis. It takes 30 seconds. So that's the thing of the obsession on relaxation and deep and measuring the depths of trance. I don't buy that personally. As long as they do what I ask them to do, they imagine what I ask them to imagine, what I want, and they respond. It simplifies a lot. And yes, you can go more complicated and generate more impressive hypnotic trance and phenomenon, like a proper full-on trance, amnesia, rigidity, pain control. Yes. You don't always have to go that far, to be fair, and you can still get results quite quickly anyway.
And do you, guided imagery, I would imagine, would be very helpful.
What kind of imagery?
Just where you ask them where they want to go, and then you allow them to choose and put obstacles, etc. And
yeah, what I do is very simple. And again, that's something I've nicked from Carl Smith. It's just go into your head, imagine going to a magical, mystical, wonderful place. Somewhere everything is fine. It's anywhere, anytime. Really imagine somewhere you've been, somewhere you want to go. The only rule is wherever you go, it's going to be great. Just go wherever your mind takes you, or you feel fantastic, and experience it in any way you can. Everybody's different. And use all of your senses you can. And then after that, I said, 1, 2, 3, go there now. And then when they say, have you found it? Yeah, great. They might be on the beach. They might be on the mountains. They might be in space. I don't know. I don't care. It's their place. It's their imagination. Then I simply tell them, maybe you can look at things around you. Maybe you can see things, the colors, the lines, the shades, movement, stillness. Maybe you can hear things, noises, music, silences. Maybe you can feel what it feels like to be there. Maybe even a pleasant taste or a smell, but whatever it is, just use all the senses, ramp them up. Make it as vivid as you can in your own way. However you're doing it is right. Just reinforcing that. And just imagine making it so vivid so you enjoy, and I mean really enjoy being there. Being fantastic. Do whatever you want, be whoever you want. Have fun. Or relax. Whatever you want. I don't know what they do. I don't want to know quite often, to be fair, because that gives them freedom to do anything they want, be whatever they want. Because if I see, oh, you're now on a lovely beach of white sand, there's a coconut tree over there. Well, maybe they don't like sand. Or maybe they're on Dover Beach. There's no coconut trees here. What are you talking about a coconut tree? I don't know. And again, everybody's different. I know my wife, for her happy place, is being in a closet and with a little torch and a book, like Harry Potter. It's nice and safe and confined. That's a space. Some people will freak out if I suggested that. Everybody's different. So I keep it super vague. You go wherever you want to go. I don't care. Make it nice. It's your brain. Remember, they're doing the hypnosis, not you. I'm just nudging them. I'm the Merlin to the Arthur. I'm giving Excalibur, the potion, the spell. But they're going to go and slay their own dragons. Thank you very much. So applies for induction. Let them go wherever they want to go. And yes, like the arrow is slightly more prescriptive, but even then is you go as high as you want to go. I don't know how high they go. Maybe they can see the whole time. Maybe they can see the whole planet. Maybe not. I'm not telling for sure. You have to be handfully vague, basically. But that's general hypnosis anyway.
Yeah, offering options. Yeah.
Absolutely. Give them all the options so they can make it their own in their own way. So this way they can only do it right. Yeah, Denise.
Sorry, me again.
Hello.
So just with if someone I understand that focus comes in hyper focus and at other times it'd be really, the inattentive makes it hard. If you're working with someone who is, has a specific situation that they really need to try and focus for, and they want to kind of corral their resources, is that something that hypnotherapy can help with? Like, could I kind of, set up a little protocol, anchor it, give them something short, and just say, let's say they're going to go and have an interview or whatever, and they just need to try and really keep themselves on track for a specific moment. Is that useful?
Anchoring is the way to go for that, in my opinion. Again, it's not a guaranteed magic pill, but it's going to help them. And also, for them understanding they need to get the dopamine rush, maybe they will also have their own already, they've got anchors they don't know about already. Like for me, if I need to really get going, if I got to the program and I'm like, oh my God, I'm bored. Headphones on Spotify, system over down, rah, that music, and I'm tapping away because it stimulates my brain. Or sometimes like I've got 3 screens in front of me because I also work in IT, and I've got 2 screens for work, 1 screen for Netflix. Because that background noise, something not too taxing, because I don't want to kind of be too distracted, but some background noise that kind of keep me entertained a little bit, like gives a little bit of stimulation so I can do that boring thing I've got to do there. And when I go to really have something complicated, I've got to turn it off because obviously I don't want the distraction. But stimulation goes a long way. Some people is going to the gym, people is doing 10 press-ups before going somewhere to really get themselves going, not us. Or watching some happy videos or whatever makes them feel good and happy and pumped up, and you can anchor that absolutely. So that's what I will do.
And that's what you're talking about, like getting the dopamine flowing in healthy ways rather than go for the addiction. This is about feeding the things that stimulate you, make you feel good.
Stimulation is the key there. It's not about you're gonna feel good and relaxed and happy so you can get on with your work. No. You're gonna feel pumped up. You're gonna feel stimulated. You need to stimulate them. You need to get them going. You need to really
really
them up, basically,
them, as opposed to okay.
Because if you go, oh, you can be relaxed so you can focus. Maybe, but maybe not.
Maybe not.
Get them in a good, happy, creative, excited mood, and they're gonna do anything you want.
Right. That's really useful. Thank you so much.
All right. So any more questions at all? I'm getting happy to talk, but again, it's been an hour and a half already, so we're already over there. Well, in which case, thank you very much for coming to my presentation. It's much appreciated. So it's currently recording, so hopefully that's going to save all that's on my computer. I will upload it on YouTube and list it somewhere, and I will send you the link. Thank you very much. Yeah, also going to send, I'm going to be a bit cheeky there. I'm also going to send you a link as well because I'm building up my Court in Mind Academy business as well of mental health and training and all those kind of things. So if you want to leave a nice word, please feel free. If you hated it, just don't bother. Don't look at the link. Again, no obligation, of course, but it's just to help me moving forward. So I'm not selling anything. It's just need a bit of help, please. Don't criticize me because you know now I hate it and it's going to hurt me. Don't be mean. So by the way, thank you very much for coming. And again, if you have any questions later, you will have my details. So please feel free to be in touch. As you realize now, I'm more than happy to talk about anything and everything. To be fair, I might even do another one at some point if I got some time, and maybe this time I'll keep it within a time frame that I've established. Or I'm just going to say it's going to be an hour and a half. And maybe that may be the easiest thing to do. Make it a bit longer because, again, I talk too much. So thank you very much, and I'll be in touch soon.
Thank you.
Have a good evening
so
or
much.
morning.
Have a lovely evening. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye.